May
Come
I
in,
come in,
please.
sir? A very good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Take your seat, please.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Srishti Dabas. Now, Srishti, before we start, can you introduce yourself? Very short.
Yes, sir. So I'm Srishti Dabas. I was born and brought up in Delhi. I've done my schooling as well as graduation from Delhi itself. Post that, I worked with the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and currently I'm working with the Reserve Bank of India, posted to Mumbai. So I take keen interest in performing Kathak.
Okay. Srishti, in Reserve Bank, what are the type of job you are doing?
So I'm posted to the Human Resource Management Department, and there I'm looking after the appraisals of all employees of the bank.
Actually, human resource, that is the establishment and human resource.
Yes, sir.
Okay. One of your hobbies that is mentioned that you had worked with the transgender groups also.
Indeed, sir.
What in an NGO or your own you done some study or survey, or you're part of an NGO?
Yeah, so this was a part of a research that the college sponsored us for, the university per se. And so I worked with an NGO known as Samajik Basera Sansthan. So,
And what was your kind of finding or report about?
so overall the findings were about looking deeper into the issues that transgenders are facing and coming up with innovative solutions. So sir, the respondents themselves had told a specific line, sir, that I really relate to and I feel. So they said that the transgender population has become a voiceless carrot in a cage, where people come, see, talk to us, but ultimately at the end they have to put us back in chains. So that basically signifies what all stigmatization that they are facing. So that was basic.
But you probably had spoken to the transgender of a lower income group and people who are literally on the streets and begging and kind of thing. Now, but there are other transgender groups also. They are well educated and they are paid also well, and they are can't even very difficult to find also they are transgender unless you are in their community. But they say that Article 377 has been decriminalized.
Yes.
But what about the marriage? We want to have a normal life. We want to have our marriage, life of dignity of our own. So don't you think this is something which is not really unfair, but it shows the skewness of our societal outlook. That on one hand, the Supreme Court had to intervene in every case, and they say 377, and even they also have a kind of they just go to the brink and come back, saying, no, society will not agree. Why should not society agree? Because I am not born. It's not my fault that I am not born the way the society expects me to be. But then, don't you think this is unfair? And there should be there are people like you, the young future of our country, as administrators or bureaucrats, future bureaucrats. You should have a strong saying that in the policy making in the government. The future of India lies in people like you, in your hands.
Indeed, sir. Sir, I do agree to whatever you just said. So regarding the Supreme Court taking the decision, yes, sir, this is a concern that it becomes a top-down approach, whereby the change is not coming from the society per se, because still, sir, in the society, that acceptance, that understanding of the concerns of the transgenders is not there, sir. For instance, sir, lack of education with regards to the transgender populations. This thing is not taught to students, that such a category also exists. So that carries forward when those children become adults, and that lack of understanding remains. Further, sir, as you mentioned about bureaucracy, certainly, sir, we need to bring inclusive policies so that we can transform from a transphobic society to a trans-friendly one by coming up with an inclusive policy that would cover all aspects of their education, healthcare, employment. Yes.
You are the daughter of a Delhi police officer, I suppose.
Yes, sir.
But don't you think the Delhi police is the most the one force, like perhaps many other forces, who is totally anti-woman, in spite of all these brouhaha about the ladies police station and the lady officers taking your FIR, and they are the most, even suppose in a bad situation, suppose you are alone in a Delhi night The last person you should go to a Delhi policeman. Isn't it? So this don't you think that this is all talk and no action on the part of the Delhi administration, and not only the administration, I am talking of the entire.
Yes,
So
sir.
don't you think? And what, as suppose you are in IPS, you appointed as an IPS, and you get an important post in Delhi police. What would be your thing to at least the people have the courage, the ladies have the courage to go to a Delhi policeman. It may not be a
Indeed,
police woman, because no police woman in the street at night. Delhi policeman. So what should be there? What should what should change in Delhi police?
Sir, to a certain extent, I agree to the issues that you have mentioned. Sir, the reasons for those issues involve, so firstly, lack of women officers in the police force. So that creates a problem for women to approach the male counterparts. Secondly, sir, lack of patrolling and policing at the night time. So as you mentioned, that is another concern. And thirdly is the perception among the people that the police would be apathetic to their concerns. That also prevails. So regarding the solutions, sir, I would say firstly there is a need to change the perception of the Delhi police. So for instance, the Delhi police has brought about a scheme called as Police Uncle, whereby the policemen will visit schools, colleges, community parks and interact with the youth of today to make them understand how the police is functioning actually. Secondly, sir, utilizing community policing would be a step in the right direction. For instance, there is a scheme called as Shishtachar that prevails in Delhi, whereby the focus is also on self-defense training of women. And sir, overall to conclude, I would say, sir, as we are moving ahead with women empowerment, sir, it's also important to make our males and boys ready for those empowered women. Sir, I think that will bring about a change.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Srishti. Do you realize that if you get into IAS, your salary will be 1/3?
Yes, sir.
1/3.
Indeed, sir. Well aware of
You are prepared for that.
Yes, sir. Happily, sir. Sir,
Bes- Besides losing a good boss, your governor.
so I'll try to keep in touch with him after.
He is
Yes.
all our batchmate.
Oh, great, sir.
Okay. Your subject is political science.
Yes, sir.
Have you studied Marx?
Yes, sir.
Marx spoke of 3 types of alienation. Can you name them?
Yes, sir. So Marx talked about alienation of the worker from the process of work. So not knowing what exactly is he or she producing and what will be the final outcome. Secondly, alienation from the society and from the fellow laborers because of the lack of time that he or she gets. And so thirdly, most importantly, is alienation from oneself because of the extreme harsh conditions of working.
Good. Can you tell me something about Gandhian philosophy of trusteeship?
So the Gandhian philosophy of trusteeship is the economic, relates to the economic ideas of Gandhiji, whereby he wanted that the corporates, firms, businesses should not be the sole custodians of the money that they are earning, but should also be returning it back to the society in order to help the people in whatever way possible. So currently we see that the social corporate responsibilities, the CSR, that is perhaps an example of trusteeship.
Okay. Your second preference is Indian Police Service.
Yes, sir.
Recently we amended all the 3 criminal laws.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me some provisions which are pro-women in the new laws?
So first and foremost is the introduction of EFIR that will ease the reporting by women. Secondly, sir, there is the provision of trial in absentia. So that will fast track the proceedings even if the accused is not present in the court. And so thirdly, there has been introduction of something called as community service for petty crimes rather than putting the person in jail.
That will help both men and women.
Indeed, sir.
Okay. They have made some crimes gender neutral, like adultery, they have decriminalized.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And they have put all the provisions relating to women at one place.
Yes, sir.
And even electronic evidence will also help women.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. It is said that Odissi or even Kuchipudi, they are essentially temple dance, whereas Kathak is a palace dance. Do you agree?
So this has been argued to a certain extent because of the origin of these dance forms. So the origin of, as you mentioned, Kuchipudi, Odissi, and even the other South Indian classical dance forms primarily began from the Devdasi system and from the temples. So Kathak, on the other hand, started from the Bhakti period, and after that it moved from there to the palaces during the time of Mughals. And further, sir, it has been patronized by various rulers. So yes, sir, in that regard, this difference exists.
Okay. You worked in India-Russia Youth Forum.
Yes, sir.
You think we should continue our friendship with Russia? Because Russia has now become closer to China after the Russia-Ukraine war.
Indeed, sir. So we should keep all our options open. The foreign policy of India today is that of strategic autonomy, and our policy is very much pragmatic, whereby we are trying to enhance our relationships and get the best out of all the relationships that we are keeping. So, sir, the oil imports that we are taking from Russia, even the defense imports, 36% of those are from Russia. So, apart from that, having said that, so we are diversifying also. We are diversifying our defense imports. So, that's
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Srishti, you are a student of political science.
Yes, sir.
All through you have remained in Delhi.
So, from the last 2 years, I've been posted to Mumbai. Apart from that, I've been living in Delhi. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, what is the correlation between the air quality index and the GRAP 3?
So the GAP graded action plan that is put into place in a graded format as per the level of air quality index. So as the air quality worsens, the graded action plans are upgraded. For instance, if it becomes more severe, then suppose the schools are shut. So that proportional relation is there, sir.
So what are the ingredients, I mean, what are the pollutants in the which determines the AQI?
So there are 8 pollutants in total. So PM 2.5, PM 10. So then SO2, the sulfur dioxide, NOx, nitrogen oxides. So apart from that, there are 4 more.
Okay, fine. Which one is the severe most?
So,
Most severe which?
So it would be PM 2.5 because of the smallest size that it has, and since it enters the lungs and reaches the alveoli and creates a lot of respiratory problems.
Okay. Now, the elections are being held this year.
Yes, sir.
Elections will be held in 2029 also. So there are some common factors will be there. Some obvious increase in the number of voters, etc. will be there.
Yes.
But what makes it different in 2029 as compared to 2024?
So one of the biggest change would be that the Women Reservation Act that will come into play in 2024 and seats will be reserved for women in Lok Sabha, state legislative assemblies and the Delhi Legislative Assembly.
That is one. Anything else?
So another one would be that hopefully till then a delimitation exercise would be done in 2026 and different constituencies would be arrived at and the number of
will
seats.
Increase, both in the Lok Sabha
Indeed,
as well as
sir.
the legislatures.
Yes.
The number will increase. Suppose delimitation doesn't take place. What happens to the Women's Reservation Bill?
So currently it has been said that the Women Reservation Act wasn't implemented from this very election because of lack of new delimitation. However, if it is the delimitation exercise is not conducted again, sir, might be given the current constituencies within the present constituencies, seats would be
Very good.
reserved for women.
Yes. Now we have a system of separation of powers.
Yes, sir.
So in the context of abrogation of Article 370,
Yes, sir.
do you find this got manifested?
Sir, certainly it did, because with the abrogation of 370, firstly, Jammu and Kashmir was made more integral part of, and so regarding
What is separation of powers?
so the clear delineation of powers between different organs of the government.
So who decided to abrogate?
So the parliament,
The executive.
executive. Okay.
Thereafter, it went to the
So the final
parliament.
acts. Yes, sir.
Then it went to the judiciary. So all three wings got their functions in place and got manifested and said.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, when we come to the world economy, if you have to identify 4 or 5 problems in the current scenario, which is likely to continue for another 2-3 years, what will be they?
So beginning with, firstly, the supply chain disruptions that are there because of the 2 wars going on. Secondly, high inflation in general in the world economy. Thirdly, various economies are entering into a recession. So Japan, Germany, even Egypt and Turkey.
One of the European countries' status was lowered because of this. Can you name that country in terms of GDP? Germany.
Yes, sir.
Japan
It came
moved-
down. Yes,
Japan
sir,
moved
yes,
up.
then
Yes.
Japan.
So this is second problem. Third problem?
So one would be the dependence of the entire global economy on the decisions taken by the Fed. So that creates a lot of instability, as we also saw in case of Indian stock market.
Then
So
the
those stock markets are very volatile.
Yes. In the US presidential election, which is taking place this year,
Indeed,
will also
sir.
have impact
Yes,
on
sir.
the climate changes.
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay,
you for
thank you.
pointing that out. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Srishti, you have very good academic scores,
Thank you, sir.
96% in 12 and all that. Where is this school, Ganga International?
Sir, it's in Hirankurda, very near Mundika, sir, in northwest Delhi.
Northwest Delhi, okay. You are in Group B RBI officer. Is that the same as double AO?
Sir, the group system in the other central government services and the grade system that is there in RBSA, it's entirely different.
Different.
Yes, sir.
So this is the highest direct lateral entry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, which like class 1 in our government parlance. I mean, in LIC they take double AO,
Okay,
which
sir.
you know, they also join at that level.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Now, tell me, you are a student of political science, you have studied in IP as well as IGNOU. What is the difference in India and Bharat?
So for me, there is no difference between India and Bharat, because the Constitution of India itself mentions both the names.
Okay, so why is government now promoting Bharat? Last year G20 summit in Delhi, entire delegation with the Prime Minister was seated behind
Yes.
Bharat. What is the intention of the government in using Bharat and not India?
So the intention would include being understandable to more people of India. So perhaps the linking to them through the use of the Hindi language. So, but apart from that, I see that there is no such difference as such between
Oh,
India.
let me put it the other way. What is it that they don't like in the word India? Can you make a guess? Otherwise, we will move on. Now, I believe, based on what is being discussed, Bharat is set to draw on your ancient civilizational pride, and the word India gives a connotation of colonial, hangover or whatever. Okay, moving on. Very burning topic is appointment of 2 election commissioners.
Yes, sir.
Supreme Court, in earlier judgment about a year ago, had recommended that CGI should be in the 3-member committee
Yes,
with
sir.
the Prime Minister and leader of opposition. Now, what is your assessment of whether this troika would have been ideal, practical and good for the country, or it would not have been very pragmatic, because there are 3 separation of powers kind of a thing, 2 of them coming together
Yes,
with
sir.
the help of a third one who is also in politics. What do you think?
So to begin with, I would like to acknowledge the fact that since the last 70 years, the procedure was such that only the government single-handedly was appointed the election commissioner. So in that regard, it is a step in the right direction, since we have moved to a committee constituted at least. So more consensus and representation. However, given the composition of the committee, sir, I believe with time it can also be modified and it can be made more inclusive based on the consensus of the people.
Well, that's going neither here nor there, but hopefully, are you saying that Chief Justice should be a member of the 3-member committee or no?
So I would support Chief Justice presence in the
Okay, as and
committee
when-
to appear more inclusive and unbiased, sir.
Yeah, as and when the government of the day or the Prime Minister, bequeaths that kind of a concession.
So waiting for
We-
such a reform to
We
come
will
soon.
see. We will see that.
Yes.
Okay, I heard you saying about India following a very pragmatic policy.
Yes, sir.
Russia-Ukraine war, India is quietly supporting Russia and buying oil in exchange as a compensation or whatever. So you think India can have an independent position on Russia-Ukraine war, or India is being treated as closer to Russia, therefore closing its eyes to the transgressions of international law by Russia? What do you think?
So I believe India does have an independent stand and it's not being dictated by any other power. Sir, India has a stand for safeguarding its own national interests first.
Everybody is doing that.
Indeed, sir.
Everybody in the world is doing that. In foreign policy, nobody does against its own national interest.
Yes, sir. So that taking of oil imports from Russia or defense procurements for that matter. So I believe that India is loudly speaking and accepting it globally, not doing it under the table. Hence, that should not be criticized.
Well, others will not see in that kind of a rose-tinted expression as you are putting it, because India is buying oil.
Yes,
Western media for the last 2 years has been saying only 2 or 3 countries are taking benefit of the Russia-Ukraine war, which includes China and India to begin with. Others are North Korea, Cuba, Iran and others. Anyway, do you see a situation where Russia-Ukraine war may come to an end, or under what circumstances?
So I see that in the future, perhaps it will convert into a frozen conflict whereby the military escalation wouldn't take place. However, whether a peace treaty would be reached or not is questionable, sir, because given the gains that Russia has made, for instance, at Avdiivka, perhaps it wouldn't want to back out. And even Ukraine has said that we wouldn't stop short of anything than putting independent in front of Ukraine. So given the stance of both the conflicts, sir, I feel war fatigue will enter and it will become a frozen conflict.
Yeah, kind of a deadlock. We'll see how it goes. And now, lastly, since you are a student of political science, you should be having some idea. Has UNSC, the main core of the UN system, failed? But at the same time, India wants to join also. So what is the benefit of India joining a failing or almost failed organization? Is there some merit?
So agreeing to the fact that UNSC is seeing a decline, and that perhaps is the very reason why India wants its entry, to revive it and to become a voice of the global south. Given the benefits that India will get from it, so one, given the stature of India today, it must be represented at such an international level. Secondly, it would also be of symbolic significance for India. However, having said that, sir, India should not let its entry in the UNSC dictate its decisions, and whether being a part of UNSC or not, sir, its stand should be such that it benefits its own national interests and the global south.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Srishti. You can wait outside. We will call you back for feedback.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sit, please.
Thank you, sir.
Feedback, sir will start.
Okay, Srishti, we think you are going to lose 2/3 of your salary.
So would be happy to lose that.
Happy to do that. Okay. There may be a lot of questions about Delhi police.
Yes, sir.
because your father is in police, your second preference is IPS,
Yes, sir.
and maybe a comparison between Delhi and Mumbai, because now we are in Mumbai.
Yes.
How safe is Mumbai? How unsafe is Delhi for women? This type of questions may be asked. And political science, if there is somebody, then they may ask some questions more on political science. Plato's philosopher king and Machiavelli's prince. What is your position?
Yes.
Okay. End justifies means Machiavelli and Gandhi. What is your position? To ascertain your this thing.
Yes, sir.
And about monetary policy and fiscal policy. You know the difference?
Sir, Mandal, Kautilya, sirs.
No, fiscal policy and monetary policy.
Monetary. Okay.
What is
yes,
the
sir.
difference?
So primarily fiscal policy pertains to government expenditure and revenue, and the monetary policy pertains to RBI's
RBI,
actions.
this thing, because you are in RBI.
Yes, sir.
So somebody may ask this question
Yes, sir.
also. And about the digital rupee
Yes, sir.
and its earlier version comparison,
Yes, sir.
how this is better or that is better, something like that. Yeah.
So the earlier version of digital rupee.
Bitcoin,
Okay, okay. Yes, sir.
we have started
Very
this.
recently,
Otherwise,
yes, sir.
Bitcoin is still ruling. So, what are the plus and minus in Bitcoin? What are plus and minus in digital rupee? Things like that.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, I think you are ready for the interview. When is your interview?
So 26th March.
26th March. Okay. IFS is your third preference. So, you are reading a newspaper?
Yes, sir.
Which one?
Sir, Hindu, Indian Express, Economic Times and Mint.
So
I
many?
tend to, so yeah, because
Okay.
for economics,
No, economic paper is a must. Okay, all right. So, chairman will say about,
You have a deadly combination in the sense that you have political science and international relations plus
Yes.
your RBI.
yes, sir. So,
So both
economic.
combined, yes. So you have to be very thorough on that and anticipate that what kind of problem. You can't answer all the questions. There
Yes,
could be something that, like I asked you about separation of powers.
Yes, sir.
But in spite of that, your answers to other part were absolutely perfect. You're ready for the show, what do we call, for the interview.
Thank you,
So
sir.
that demonetization is still that, no, we have not asked any question on demonetization, but that
Yes.
could be a question on relating to RBI. Then there are other aspects of economics like budget, fiscal deficit, etc., etc. So that could be a probable question. And world economy, you answered well. About the elections in 24, 29 also, that is so it's all right. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Srishti, you are very good. You speak very well. Your clarity of thought is fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Now, only point that I want to just say,
Yes,
without advising or strongly recommending, is that you sound a little bit defending the government or the pro-government stance. As of now, you are in RBI, but not in the government. You are still a candidate. You need to display a clear capacity which you have on both sides of any
Yes.
conflict, you know, and then take a line of recommendation that you want according to whatever you make up. Like Hindu Rashtra, you were there, Mediterranean, that was a clear cut. And you also said, although I didn't ask whether India should become, you came out and volunteered that you don't want India to become Hindu Rashtra. That part is not really necessary. But by saying your thoughts is all right, it becomes clear. Even on Russia, Ukraine, when I am saying that how India can take a stance that India is absolutely independent.
Yes, sir.
On one hand, it is buying oil, therefore India's position as of independent country is compromised. You buy oil cheaper, 20%, and then still don't repay in some kind of obligation to Russia, when the West knows very well that India is taking advantage. Is more of an opportunistic approach, but still India's foreign policy is like that, to make the most of any situation.
Yes, sir.
But also there is a place for certain ideology in any foreign policy. You know, you just look at US foreign policy, they are also equally strong in their interest, but they do say upfront that we are for democracy, we are for peace, for all kinds of human rights. India till now had always said about Gandhian approach and all that, but in this case India has taken a very, very pragmatic is a diplomatic word, out and out selfish approach. You know, I mean, on one hand, a country is completely being demolished, Ukraine. India doesn't have any word of sympathy or solace to Ukraine, but is buying oil from Russia is well known and is open about it. It is not saying. My basic point is, on any issue of conflict, take a balanced and impartial view, speaking out both sides. And whatever you wish to convey as a conclusion has to be defended by you. You know,
Yes,
that.
sir.
But both sides' viewpoint should come out, which will give the panel members a clear idea that you have capacity to see through. Because this is an important factor, because when you go into IAS, IPS, everywhere, there will be plenty of conflict situations where all kinds of things will come. And your capacity to find the real crux of the matter is very important. Your superiors will also depend on you for that, and all further action will go by that. You know, and there is an issue of integrity also. You know, how far and best. But you will do extremely well. You have a full capacity of knowledge, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Srishti, you are absolutely ready. I mean, there is no doubt, even tomorrow also, I think your interview, you should fly through, depending, of course, your written, how much you have done. Now, 2-3 things, you know, many of the questions could relate to women empowerment.
Yes, sir.
Since you are a successful, you're a role model kind of a thing. You're not only role model for that, with your background, you have come this far. So, obviously, there is a higher level of questioning you can expect there.
Yes, sir.
Now, women empowerment, obviously, you should know the achievers in various fields like ISRO is completely being run by women achievers. They are
Yes,
not
sir.
men. Men are only the figureheads. They are ISRO, then industry, you can think biotech, industry, everywhere. Novels, the most beautiful novels are being published by women. Jhumpa Lahiri, so many others.
Yes.
And so I have some names, etc. Just Indian also settle abroad, but they are writing about the stories in India. And then there could be something this year from IPA, Delhi University, there could be some knowledge of JNU and Tukre gang and all that. There could be leftist ideologies, Romila Thapar, leftist historians. So this could be writing history syllabus is being, Delhi University is being changed.
Yes, sir.
Because your English is the optional. So that could be, so be ready for their little controversial things. So you don't get into controversy, just try to get out of that. How to just, you are very nice and smoothly get in and get out of that. And the most important thing is your transgender work.
Yes, sir.
Try to publish, try to just put it across. See, you can lead them to that area, which is your very strong area. People get emotionally attached to that kind of work, anti-trafficking. If you have done some work on anti-trafficking of women and children, because as police officers will be probably to look into those areas, which are very neglected areas. So policing is concerned. Police, of course, as Sir said, could be your police broadcasting the police reforms.
Yes.
Just go through that police reforms thing. Most National Police Commission, those, and that's all I suppose. But one thing I just, by the way, I'm just saying,
Yes,
see, many of the questions you are very liking because it's in your line of thinking. So you are saying, indeed, sir, indeed, sir. It gives an impression that you are liking that question, you are praising the questionnaire for the question. You are not understanding, you are not, at the moment you are saying, but don't. I mean, don't praise the person who is questioning it. Because his job is to question. So you are just not so just a little practice. You are happy that you are saying, indeed, sir, indeed. So this is a little practice. 2 years, 2 weeks, is your job is just to listen to the question till the end, this purport, and break them into points. No introduction, no conclusion. You are giving some introduction also sometimes. You will be happy because your line of knowledge. No introduction, nothing. Sir, firstly I have to submit straight away into the points. Firstly, sir, secondly, thirdly, fourth, and stop for supplementary. You can ask supplementary or change the subject. So, but I absolutely fantastic. Can only say all the best. We must see you in that committed list.
Yes.
Can I just ask, your first choice for IAS is Rajasthan?
Yes, sir.
Oh, and Agmut is home cadre.
Yes, sir. I have put a no to it.
Okay.
So you put a no to a good.
Yes, sir.
Zero is no, is it? You put zero
So
means
the preference, it doesn't allow us to keep it at a lower preference. Either it should be the first preference or it doesn't remain in the list.
So you say zero means you don't want
Zero
Agmut.
doesn't want.
So even if I want it at a lower preference, the system doesn't allow it. That's not an option.
Okay. So Rajasthan is your first
Very
choice.
nice, very nice color.
Good.
All the best.
All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Unacademy.